What's going on YouTube? OCD for EDC here, and what I got for your face balls today, we're talking Vero. So these are 4 different items from Vero Engineering. I think this, well, they definitely offer different sizes. So like this one here is an XL variant, but I think this is a pretty good representation of all the products that he has out as of right now. I think there are a couple of new models coming. But anyway, what we're looking at here is we've got this one right here is the Synops Xl. This one here is an integral, and it also is a micarta show side. But we're going to be talking about the clips a little bit, so I've got them sitting this direction. Anyway, this one here is called the Isotope, the integral. And then we have the Axon, which is a micarta handled titanium liner lock, a little bit smaller of a piece. And then we have this right here, the Pry Tool, which is called the Fulcrum, which I believe this is the first product that Joseph Vero put out on the market, was the Fulcrum. And it's a pretty interesting little Pry Tool. Now, I'm pretty sure he makes a mini version of this too. If he hasn't put it out already, it's coming. So I don't know all the ins and outs of Vero and what all they have going on, but I'm not going to mess with the bands there. But this is the packaging that it comes in, and I'll just show you really quick. Not 100% sure. I'm assuming that it comes with all of these bits here. And you can see there are a couple of black O-rings in the package there. By the way, these were graciously loaned to me by a viewer slash patron. Nate, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. I loved getting to check these out. I had handled a couple of Veros at various times, but never got to carry one or anything like that. And so, you know, I spent a little time with each one of these, and yeah, I've got a lot to say, but I didn't really carry the Pry Tool. I don't really carry Pry Tools, so I didn't necessarily use this for anything, but it's a very interesting tool. So it comes with 4mm hex bits here, and they are VHA bits. You can see right there. And this is a #1 Phillips. This is a T10. And then you've got, let's see what size this is here. Yeah, so 8mm wide flat driver there. And then you've got a T6 and a T8, which he has in the bit storage here. But what's interesting, you can see on the end, you can put the bits right in there. Kind of integrates with the pocket clip. And Vero has done a great job of making, you know, kind of factory accessories. So this didn't come with the Timascus clip. This was an add-on. But you can purchase those on his website. It's veroengineering.com if you want to go check it out. And he's always got new stuff coming, new stuff dropping. So I would encourage you, you know, I think you can get on a mailing list. But definitely some really, really cool stuff. Now, it's not the cheapest stuff out there, but definitely high quality and everything across the board. Yeah, definitely high quality stuff. So I think you know, if you enjoy the style of any of these, you know, don't be worried about the, you know, whether it's worth the asking price. They definitely are. So anyway, the large Pry Tool here, the Fulcrum, I think they start around $95, something like that, with the bits. And then, you know, like this Timascus clip, I think is around $85 or something. But you know, it's absolutely gorgeous. The camera's not going to do it justice, but the Timascus clip is beautiful. And all the pieces are numbered. You can see this one here is number 27. But just a really cool tool. It's, you know, I really enjoy the design, which is really kind of the hallmark to all of this is the design features. You know, it's just a little bit different, but everything flows well together. You can definitely, you know, he's got a very signature look to every model that he makes, and that's really cool. So I dig it. Now, out of the 3 knives that I have here, certainly the Axon here is the most affordable. And these start at around, I want to say around 250 bucks, and can go up to, you know, maybe 350 range, something like that. Now, he exclusively works with Best Tech as far as I'm concerned, or as far as, I shouldn't say as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, Best Tech is the maker of all of these products. But Best Tech doesn't have their own factory, to my knowledge, or at least if they do, they work with a bunch of other factories. So they're kind of like, you know, a general contractor, if you will, and then they sub it out to other manufacturers over in China. And definitely they're finding high quality places to make these Vero knives, because the fit and finish and the quality of the products, the quality of the materials, you know, the micarta here, the titanium, everything is extremely well done. The machining is fantastic, and I really enjoy really everything about these. The one thing that I can say mechanically about them is all of them have very, very light detents. And now, whether that's by design or that's just the way that it happens to be, yeah, the detents are just very, very light. So, you know, you don't really even feel a kind of a snap out of the detent. Now, it's not a big deal. I mean, they function well, so there's no issues there. But it just, you don't get that really kind of break. And yeah, you can definitely fail it. But as long as you're deliberate about what you're doing, you know, they function beautifully. And they're just really light detents. But you can see here, you know, the blade is perfectly centered. And like I said, this one is an integral. All of these fit and finish is fantastic. But they all do share the very light detent. So that's just, you know, I kind of, because they're all very similar in the light detent, I kind of feel like that's just kind of by design. And, you know, to each their own. If that's what Mr. Vero enjoys, is a really light detent, then great. You know, but with like these larger ones with the bigger blades, it's going to be, well, I think anyway, yeah. I don't want to scratch the knives up, so I don't want to hit anything, but you can shake the blade out pretty easily. Yeah. Now, is that necessarily a bad thing? I don't think so. In the time that I spent carrying these, I never had any issues or anything like that. You know, the blade never came open in my pocket, or so, you know, it's really just a personal preference situation. But other than that, the only thing that is a little bit, I won't even call it a negative, just for me, creates a little bit of a hot spot in the hand, is the pocket clips. Now, you can see here on this Axon, the pocket clip, the ramp coming into it, it just goes straight up and then continues on that plane. In the right hand, it pokes you in the hand pretty good, like right there. Now, left-handed, this is actually good because my fingers, my ring finger lands right in this space right here, and then my index finger, or my middle finger, I mean, goes on that side of the clip, so it works out pretty well. However, if you look here on the Isotope, you can see that he's changed the clip up a little bit. So the ramp comes up and then goes back parallel with the knife's, the frame of the knife. And this one doesn't create as big of a hot spot. Now, I can certainly feel it, but it's not bad. And so I don't know when these knives were released, if this one is newer than these two, but you can see on these two, the clips are, I'm going to assume, an older variant or older style than this one. I think this is probably a newer design where it kicks back over. Now, all of these clips are milled titanium, and the clips function extremely well. So you can see it's pretty deep carry for a milled clip. The retention's great. They work well. They go in the pocket extremely well. No issues there. It just creates a little bit of a hot spot in my hand. Now, you know, for other people, it may not be a big deal. But and it's not a deal breaker for me by any means. So I don't want to, make it out to be like I would never own one of these knives because of the clip. I actually really like the way the clip looks on the knife. I think it's a fantastic design. But I like this one better where it goes back parallel with the scale. So if this is the newer design and he's going to start doing them like this, I think this is the better clip. Like I said, that may have already been a design change that he's made. I just am not aware of it. Obviously, he did it on this one. So anyway, Joseph Vero is, he's got a few design cues like this milled out square that works really well for, either thumb flicking or spidey flicking the knife. Now, if you look on the Axon, we have this square on both sides. But if you look on, like, the Isotope here, it's only on the clip side or the lock side of the knife. So this is meant to be spidey flicked. Now, what that does is leaves a very, very clean show side, which is really cool. And then the other kind of signature feature he's got is the flipper tabs that are integrated into the confines of the handle. So, just cutting that corner off, which is just makes so much sense. Why other people didn't do that is kind of beyond me. You got flipper tabs sticking out a 1/2 inch on the back of the knife. It's just kind of dumb. But anyway, Vero did it right here, and the flipper tabs work perfectly. Now, if I remember correctly, I think this was really kind of his first knife design, the Synops, and this one came in a few different sizes. This is the XL variant, and you can see the flipper tab integration is just a little bit different here. So instead of just cutting that corner off on the 45, it's got a little milled section that the blade tang sticks out in there. So you can see this one here is number 210. But flipper tab, it's fully adequate. It works beautifully, and it's just a good flipper design all the way around and makes for a very clean look. And that's the thing that I love the most about all the Vero stuff is just super clean design elements. Everything flows well together, and they're just really sexy knives. Just plain and simple. This is a big old boy here, but it's a good looking piece. Let's get a couple measurements on this thing real quick. So the Synops Xl blade length is 3.829. So 3.83 inches of blade in a handle that is right at 5 inches, just barely over 5 inches. And definitely a really interesting knife. I'm going to get a width on this handle here. We'll go screw to screw. So just a little over 6/10 of an inch in thickness. But it doesn't carry like it's that thick, because if you can see here, you have these large, I don't want to call them chamfers, they're bevels on either side, which it makes it feel kind of contoured, although it really isn't, because you've got 3 distinct flats. You've got the flat in the middle here, and then a flat here, and a flat there. So, but it definitely gives the feeling of it being contoured in hand. And, if it had this style clip, the Synops here would be phenomenal. So you can see on this one here, we've got a Timascus clip again. As far as I don't know 100%, but I'm assuming that the owner of this knife purchased this after the fact, and probably the pivot screw there as well. Now, I said before that these are very high quality knives, and I haven't taken all of them apart. I did take this apart because, well, I'll bring that up in a moment. But I'm pretty sure everything is all titanium hardware. For sure it is on this one. The only thing that is steel on this knife is the lock insert, which you can see right there. And then the barrel for the pivot and the barrel for the 2 standoffs here, or the 2 standoffs are steel. And that's it. Everything else on this knife, all the hardware is titanium. So, you're buying definitely a premium product here, and action is fantastic. The things are super drop shutty. which is super cool. And, you know, they definitely make for very good fidget toys. Now, the Axon is a front flipper as well, and it's designed beautifully. It works perfectly, and, you know, really snappy. This thing is just a super cool knife for sure. Now, Joseph is actually dropping these left-handed, which I'm super pumped about. I will definitely end up getting one of those when they become available. And yeah, just super cool knives, and I'm pumped that he's doing them for lefties because that's just fantastic. And the Axon is just a really cool design all the way around. I really dig it. The sheep's foot blade, yeah, definitely really cool. So, I would like it even more if he did it in the XL variant, you know, 3 3/4 inch blade or something. Let's go on with the measuring here. So the Synops, we had 3.83 inch blade. On the Isotope, 3.89. So basically this is a 3.9 inch blade on the Isotope, but packaged extremely well. Like I said, these are really good designs. We're actually under a 5-inch handle here. 4.9 inches for a 3.9 inch blade, which is just beautiful. I love that. It's efficient use of space, which is fantastic. This Isotope right here is definitely a cool knife, for sure. I like the micarta inlay, and yeah, it could probably use a little color, but it's cool, for sure. Yeah, definitely a really cool one. And then the Axon. Uh, 3.476, so just under 3.5 inch blade. You know, for a lot of people, that's going to be a big knife, and I understand that. You know, for me, I like 3 3/4, 4-inch blades, that kind of stuff. But so 4.5 inch handle here on the Axon. Now the Axon's a little bit thinner. Yeah, 5.2 inches, or I'm sorry. 0.52 inches on the handle thickness, and then on the Isotope, a little thinner than the Synops as well at 0.55. Now, on the Isotope here, on this integral, the handle is contoured, if you can see that. It's got just a little bit of contouring. Definitely really, really comfortable in hand. It works extremely well. The Isotope is just a gorgeous knife. Now, I don't know what the price of this was. Like all Vero stuff, these things are all sold out. They pretty much sell out immediately when he drops something. And for good reason, because they're gorgeous. They're just beautiful knives, designed beautifully and made extremely well. So not much to complain about here at all. Okay, so we're going to put the Axon off to the side. Let me, actually, what we'll do here is, we'll show off that Timascus clip. How about that? There we go. And then the Isotope, we'll show off the micarta here a little bit. And then, yeah, there we go. Oh, one thing I didn't do, we'll grab a couple weights here real quick before we move on. So on the Synops Xl, 5.5 ounces, not bad at all for what it is. You know, this bolster lock tie frame, yeah, with, you know, 3.83 inch blade, definitely a cool one, and 5.5 ounces is not bad. Now, the Isotope here is a little bit heavier. Oh, no, 5.5 ounces. Okay. It feels a little heavier, but maybe that's just because it's a bit smaller in hand, so it feels a little more dense. But 5.5 ounces for this one is totally adequate, in my opinion. You know, 3.9 inch blade. And then, of course, the Axon is the lightest one, 3.676 ounces. So just over that ounce and inch mark, 3.5 inch blade, 3.7 ounces. And, you know, that's totally adequate for me. But it's a really cool knife for sure. So let's get some tools in here, because one of the deals I made with Nate was that I'm going to church up the Axon a little bit, and we're going to do a little bit of mod work to this thing. So let's get this tore down and we can take the look at the interior. Now, I already did take this apart once. I cleaned it up because there was a tremendous amount of grime and stuff in here. But more, what I was really looking for, I just wanted to make sure that all the hardware was titanium, and it most certainly is, which is fantastic. So I think originally I said that the only steel in this knife were the pivot barrel and the two standoffs. That's not entirely true. There are stainless steel washers that sit under the bearings that I forgot about. Oh, and the stop pin. See, I'm screwing that all up. All right, so we got brass caged ceramic bearings. And then you've got the stop pin. Oop. Let's see if we can get this off of here. Hopefully, oh, beautiful. I assumed that that was going to be Loctited, but it's not. So that's fantastic, because it is not tooled. So I was concerned about getting that out without scratching anything. Okay. Let's get these washers out of here. All right. So, and then the clip screws. The other nice thing here is everything is T8 hardware, which is awesome. Okay. Start getting some parts and pieces put in there. And then let's get these two body screws out. If you guys can hear it or not, my printer is running in the background. Sorry if that's annoying. It's not too loud, but hopefully the mic isn't picking that up. Okay. So this is what we've got here for steel parts in this knife. So you've got the two washers, the stop pin, the two barrel spacers, and the pivot tube, and that is it. The rest of these components are either titanium, brass, ceramic, and I'm not going to remove the hardened steel insert, but there it is. And I'm not going to do anything with the liners on this knife, but you can see there the hardened steel insert is of course also steel. But the liners on this knife, full titanium, you can see a lot of weight relieving went into the liners, which is awesome. We've got the recessed clip screws right there. Very nice. And so you can look here at all of the hardware. I already threw the clip screws in the little tub there, but all of this is all titanium, which is awesome. So really, really cool. Of course, the backspacer is tie as well. But you can see here that the quality of the micarta is fantastic. It's taken on a beautiful look, pretty worn look, and it feels great. I'm probably going to texture this a little bit, but the blade as well, it's got a beautiful satin on it, so I'm going to leave the blade alone. Says Vero up here on the spine, which is pretty cool. One of the other things that I didn't really touch on, but these things come well ground right out of the box, which is awesome. So you can see here that this one is about 17 thousandths behind the edge. Of course, I'd love to see it just a little bit thinner than that, down in that 10 to 12 range, but 17, I'll take it compared to, most stuff out there that's 25 to 30 thousandths. So this tall flat grind on here comes down to a pretty nice edge, so that's fantastic. All right, well, I'm going to go and do some work on this thing, and then we'll check back in and see how this thing turned out. All right, so now we're back in. We're going to go ahead and reassemble this Axon. So what I did was I textured and dyed the micarta, and I went with this red color just because I thought it looked pretty cool. And then I also anodized and brushed all of the hardware, the clip, the backspacer. So it's got some shine to it now, which is pretty cool. And it looks pretty cool out in the old sunlight there. So let's get into this. Got some KPL heavy. Got my VHA 10.8 or T8 here. 10.8. It's been a long day, let me tell you. Between work and trying to get other stuff done, it's just my life is just, yeah, unbelievable. That's a stop pin. Okay. One thing we are going to do is, which I forgot to grab, but I'll grab it here in just a second. We are going to use just a hint of Loctite on one thing here. I don't know if I had some water on my hand there. All right. Get the other stand off here. Okay. Go ahead and throw down the back spacer there. And then put the stop pin in. Alright, now I gotta get, that's where we're going to use a little Loctite here in just a second. We'll throw that washer. Okay. So I'm just going to use a little bit of blue Loctite on the non-tooled side here. So if in the future the owner of this knife ever wants to break this loose, just throw a little bit of heat at it and that'll break that off. So you can see there's a D shape out on the end, and so that's going to go just like so. So the D shape goes away from the non-tooled side, which in this case is the show side pivot. And then that tooled, or that D shape, goes towards the rear of the knife. Yes, I can see the D shape there. Okay. So now we're going to put this liner in. We'll go ahead and get the clip on. Now, for the clip screws, I'm also going to put just a touch of Loctite on those. But that's really just because they're blind screws and I don't want them coming loose, because then you'll have to disassemble the knife to get at them. Okay. All right. The red looks pretty good with the gold. I thought it looked pretty good anyway. So the owner of these knives just kind of gave me free rein to do what I thought looked cool. And so that's pretty cool. Alright, so we're going to use just a tiny bit of KPL heavy here. And actually, you can see on the blade here, we've got a detent ramp, which is very, very nice. You know, that's one of the things that I have really enjoyed about these Vero knives. They have all the, you know, the small details that makes it fantastic. So just putting a tiny bit of KPL heavy. I don't want to put too much to where it's going to be running out and getting on the micarta. Put a little on the pivot there. All right. Okay. All right. Need to turn this pivot just a tiny bit. Right there. Get this set down on there. Okay. All right. Everything looks good. So there you go. I like the little bit of shine to the clip and the backspacer there. I also did it on the pivot screws. There wasn't a whole lot I could do because those screws are just so tiny. I mean, I anodized them so they're matching, but you can see the shine there. I mean, you can see it a little bit, but it's just not going to show up all that well just because of how small those screws are. So brushing those a little bit, just slightly, just enough to give some shine. Looks fantastic, and it looks really cool out in the sunlight. So there you go. There is the Axon. I think it turned out really good, and get that oil in there. Oh yeah. Excellent. Oh, my thumb slipped off there. Excellent. The pivot might be just a touch too tight. Okay. All right, there we go. Blade is centered. Action is fantastic. All right, so there you go, guys. My thoughts and whatnot on the Vero Axon. We'll set it this way. The Synops Xl, the Fulcrum, and the Isotope Integral. There you go. One more thing here. The Veros, I wanted to mention, they come with some excellent packaging. So you can see here, they come with this really large patch and just really, really nice packaging. So you can see all the original parts and pieces here. And we've got the Timascus backspacer and pocket clip. And here is the OG stuff. Clip, backspacer, micarta scales or inlays, and then the pivot right there. So yeah, really, really cool. I don't know if this one, it's got a date on there. It does not. So yeah, this was green micarta originally with raw. Oh, this was first run Synops Xl. But really cool. So I just want to show it off really quick. The packaging is fantastic. So there's the Synops. Here is the Axon packaging. Here is for the Isotope. And then for the fulcrum packaging, you get a little metal tin like this right here. And this one is the pitted variant. So you can see the texture on the back there. Very cool. So there you go, guys. That's a look at a bunch of stuff from Vero Engineering. Again, Nate, thank you so much for letting me check these out. I hope you enjoy the work I did on your Axon. I really dig it. I think it turned out cool. I kind of went back and forth on what colors to do, but yeah, I think it looks pretty bitchin' just like that. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. I'm gone. Hey!